All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. We're going to be more consistent now, I think. Brandon and I just finished up our second year of sports management.
Congratulations, Josh. It was a tough year for both of us,
We,
I'd say.
we carried each other. Matt doesn't care. But
No, I actually do care. I think it's actually quite interesting. I think it's good, boys. Like, congrats. I don't think I've said that, but yeah, congrats. 1 year down and 1 year to go, right?
yeah, well, 2 years
Two
down.
years down, one to go.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
all good.
problem.
But no, great program. Humber sponsor us. So, NFL draft. Matt, I know that's like your Christmas. You love it. You were hyped all week. You were talking about, who's going where. I'll give you 2 minutes. I want a summary of the draft and your thoughts. Then we'll get into it.
Yeah, for sure. So the first round was on Thursday. The second and third rounds were Friday night. Other than the rest was Saturday evening. I think it was about like noon to like maybe 7, 8. But yeah, it was a good draft. This draft was very interesting because of COVID. Some guys opted out, some guys didn't play at all, which definitely harder for the scouts. But the quarterbacks kind of went where they should go, in my opinion. So you had Trevor Lawrence going number 1, which was expected, Zach Wilson 2, which was expected. But the big question was who the San Francisco 49ers were going to pick at 3. Some people thought Mac Jones for the longest time, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance. They ended up going with Trey Lance, which I would have made that pick. Like, he's a good player, but you gave up a lot to get him, so he better be good. But yeah, I would just say the common theme of the draft overall was where the quarterbacks and receivers would go. It's definitely more of a passing NFL, and you kind of see that at the top of the board. But yeah, just so entertaining. I thought they did a fabulous job. Josh, I know you watched some, so yeah, it was very good. But I would just say the story and the theme were where the quarterbacks and receivers go.
Yeah, like there was some steals, there were some drops. The one that stood out to me was Justin Fields dropping to number 11 after being ranked 5 in most mock drafts. So, like, I thought the Bears had a pretty good draft. Mac Jones going to the Patriots, that's, going to be interesting, especially to see what Belichick can do with them.
Yeah, they just signed. I was sorry, Josh, to hop in, but
Yeah.
you just paid more for Cam Newton on a re-signing basis, where you thought that would be your position, but who knows? Still first year. I'm not a NFL football analyst. I'm not the one to say that Mac Jones is going to come in and start right away. But I mean, that raised eyebrows for you too, eh?
Not really raised eyebrows. It's just Belichick.
I guess it raised eyebrows that he dropped to that level of pick. I guess.
It raised eyebrows that he dropped. I was surprised Justin Fields dropped as well, especially like the Broncos passed on him and Jones, and they took a cornerback. So Matt, I want to ask you that. Why did they do that?
Yeah, so I think Denver's just in the position of, it's very sad, but for the next probably 20 years, you're Patrick Mahomes in your division. And I just think football is different than other sports. Like, if you have a good quarterback, you're going to play against him 2 times, you're going to battle the division. You need corners, so they've got one in free agency, and now they got Patrick Surtain. So I think Denver made the right pick, but as you do say, Josh, you do want that franchise quarterback. So I definitely would have went Fields at the Broncos at 9. But yeah, they just want a good secondary, which I don't really, you can blame them because they have Patrick Mahomes, but I just don't have any faith in Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. So I do expect them to get a franchise quarterback anytime. But yeah, we could go back to the Bears. My Giants actually traded with them, which was
our Giants.
Yeah, our
Good
Giants.
Man.
Brandon's a Giants fan too. Yeah. So yeah, the Bears.
I'm curious. Tell us what the Giants did, because we had a pick and we traded it down.
Yeah, for the Bears. So the Bears traded up to get Fields, and then we flipped 11 to 20. So we went back, and just to go back 9 spots to get a really good receiver in Kadarius Toney that we wanted. We got a first, a fourth, and a fifth. So I think it's really good on Get 'em and getting more picks, just in case if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, the Giants quarterback. Next year, you could trade up the top of the draft. So it's just a whole lot more flexible from a roster standpoint, just collecting picks. So I think the Giants and Bears both did well in that trade. And I love Justin Fields. I definitely think he'll have a really good career with the Bears, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you something, because we're talking about the our Giants. How do the Bills do in the draft? Let Josh know. Where was their first pick at?
They picked late, and they picked Gregory Rousseau. If I remember.
And I think that guy jumped through a table when he got announced. And he filmed it. He got picked and he jumped through a table. One of the Bills draft picks. He jumped through a table right away. You said that?
Yep. Now he's out for the season.
Yeah.
No, he's
so
not.
The Bills. So I guess the Bills are.
The Bills are gonna be fine, man, because they got a really good team. We saw it last year. They played well. They picked up some additional pieces, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but they want to keep running with this core of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, right? Like, they're going to keep rolling with that. They just need to improve on their defense, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's why they got Greg Rousseau out of Miami. He was a good pass rusher. I think they picked 29, or they picked near the end because they almost went to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I just think the Bills definitely do know what they're doing. And it was kind of a quiet draft for them just because when you trade picks and you pick so far down. But yeah, they did get a good pass rusher in round 1. So yeah, Josh, your Bills, they're looking good for the future with Josh Allen leading the charge.
For sure. So we kind of skipped over Trevor Lawrence going number 1. What type of NFL career do we think he's going to have? And is it going to be tough for him to get going playing in Jacksonville?
This is a good question. I don't think so. Like, I do see a lot of pundits saying you do struggle for a few years, and like they brought up Joe Burrow, but I just think it's kind of different in like the respect of Jacksonville. They're not playing one of the best divisions of football like Joe Burrow had to do. So like when you look at the Jags division, they have Houston, which is a mess. We don't have to talk about Deshaun Watson, but who knows what they're doing. And they have Indianapolis and Tennessee. And Tennessee's had really bad drafts. Caleb Farley was really hurt with the back they picked. And then their tackle that they picked in the first round last year just literally quit football because he has some issues that he has to deal with. But anyways, yeah, I don't think it will be that hard for Trevor Lawrence because it is a weaker division. I think he has Urban Meyer there. They definitely know what they're doing. They got Travis Etienne in the backfield, so he's familiar with his Clemson running back. So I think it'll be a little bit of a growing curve, but I don't see them wasting his career, and I do think it will work out. I just think when you're as talented as Trevor Lawrence, we see it in every single league. Zion Williamson, Connor McDavid,
right?
Bryce Harper, just whatever, the elite players in their sport. It kind of doesn't really matter what situation you put them in. They'll kind of thrive. So if I'm Jacksonville, I just keep picking linemen and I just build around Lawrence. But yeah, Josh, to answer your question, I think we'll be fine. I don't think they'll make the playoffs year 1, obviously, but I think they're going up.
So we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. It looked like for most of the season he was going to go to the Jets, and then for some reason they won a couple of games. So the Jets ended up picking 2nd overall. Did they get better? Because they drafted Zach Wilson number 2, and then they picked up an offensive lineman, they picked up a receiver, Elijah Moore, and then a running back, Michael Carter. So did they get better, or are they still going to suck this year?
Well, I think when you're as bad as the Jets, it's impossible to get any worse. So I'll just put it like that. Well, if you only win 1 game, I would assume they get better. Yeah, they just kind of restart the clock with Zach Wilson coming in and Sam Darnold coming out. But the big news for the Jets was actually Elijah Vera Tucker, who they picked 14, a really good guard out of USC. I think he'll make the Pro Bowl. I wanted my Giants to pick him. So I think they're building the right way on the O-line. Like you said, they got Moore. He slipped to them in their first pick of the 2nd round. So I do think they're building a lot. And it was so funny. I just kept seeing people on Twitter and just announcing saying they did more for Zach Wilson in a day than they did more for Sam Darnold in 3 years, which I think is true. I just think this Jets management is so much better, and I definitely see them building. And yeah, if I'm a Jets fan, you should have hope. But I think it will be a tough year 1 just because you go against people in the division. You have, like you said, Buffalo, Josh. Miami, Brian Flores is no scrub, as Stephen A. Smith would say. He knows what he's doing. Shout out to him. And I just think it's a tough division. So, honestly, if I'm going to pick a quarterback to bust, it would be Zach Wilson just based on where he goes. And I think playing on BYU and your toughest game is Coastal Carolina and you don't really play that well, now your toughest game is against Bill Belichick. Now your toughest game is against the Bills. So I just definitely think the first year won't be a success, but I think the Jets have so many picks that they will build a foundation. But unlike Lawrence, who I think probably will win Offensive Rookie of the Year, I don't see Zach Wilson having that much success. I think Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones are in way better positions. So I definitely think whoever went 2nd of the Jets was put in a bad position, and Zach Wilson just happened to be that guy.
For sure. So a couple more teams here. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are reunited. Obviously they had success at LSU, but is that going to work in the NFL?
No. And I think
it'll be my thought too.
It'll be good enough, but I just look at 5 and I'm like, you need an O-lineman. I just think football, we all know football is the most physical sport, that non-combat sport, obviously with UFC. But anyways, yeah. So I just think it's so violent. Joe Burrow, he already tore his ACL. And I just think if you only pick Jackson Carmine in the 2nd round as your O-lineman out of Clemson, who everyone kind of said is a reach, I personally think it's a reach. You can't protect Joe Burrow. So I don't know how he's going to throw Jamar Chase, Travis Boyd, Joe Mixon in the backfield. I don't know how he's going to use all the weapons he has when they have no O-lineman. Especially with that division, you have Myles Garrett literally running at you. He's huge. I don't know if you guys saw, but he was literally so jacked, his suit was breaking on TV. And I saw a lot of memes about that, which is kind of funny.
Brandon sent me that one. That was funny. Looks like he had a small one.
It was funny. So I personally would have went offensive lineman, but I do think Cincinnati They're known as kind of a boring franchise. So I think this was just, they want to see touchdowns. They want to get some more marquee games. So I think it's probably the owner, probably Joe Burrow, even kind of went to the GM and coach and just said, yo, pick me Jamar Chase. We'll figure out the O lineman. Like, they did pick 3 linemen, but like, I don't think it's realistic to say I'm going to get a high quality starter offensive lineman in rounds 4 through 7. Like, I don't really think that's realistic. And that's kind of what they did. And like I said, I didn't really like the Jackson Carmine pick. I think they're a better offensive lineman that you could took it on the board there.
Right. So one last thing, and then we'll move on to the NBA. It was announced on the Friday, Tim Tebow was looking to return to the NFL in a different position, and that got people talking. And all of a sudden, a bombshell comes out of nowhere that Aaron Rodgers will not be returning to the Green Bay Packers, and he wants out. Where are we standing on this, Brandon? I'll start with you. What do we think about Aaron Rodgers wanting out of?
Yeah, I heard that. That's pretty big news for the whole sports world, right? Because, Aaron Rodgers is one of the, most valuable quarterbacks in today's era, other than Tom Brady, I'm sure. And his skills are needed around the league. And I guess he's trying to, I think the season ended very questionable on the fact that there was a play call that was, not agreed upon around him and the head coach and the manager. So I heard that he didn't want to return based upon the fact that if they did not get a new general manager, that would be the reason that he didn't want to play there. So it's either new manager and he stays, I guess, or no new manager. That's why he would want to leave. I'm sure. I think that's the situation rather. But I hope he leaves. It'd be entertaining to watch where he goes.
Yeah, movement in sports is always fun, and I think I'm calling this one the Brady effect, right? Because he moved. He was a free agent, but he left a team he'd been loyal to for 20 years, and then went and won a Super Bowl right away. And all of a sudden, you got all these years like Deshaun Watson wanted out. He's probably not going to get it now. He might not even play next season. Aaron Rodgers wants out. You got a couple other quarterbacks who want to be moved. These guys want to write their own story. They don't want to be controlled by the teams they're under. And if they're not happy, they're going to make it known because that's your most valuable position. And you're seeing all these big name quarterbacks realize the power that they have. It's kind of like the players in the NBA saying, "Oh, I went out." Like, just take a look at what happened to James Harden. He was on a terrible team. He wanted out because he wants to go ring chasing.
Blake Griffin.
Yeah, Blake Griffin, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. He says that he's open to returning if the damage the damage is repaired or something. So that doesn't sound like it's something to do with a trade. It sounds like there's a relationship issue between him and the team. Matt, I don't know if you have more insight on that, but it just sounds like a mess.
I understand why Aaron Rodgers want out and he should want out, but just to kind of touch on this whole, I do see people saying, "Oh, if a quarterback's not happy, he's going to want out. He's going to want out. Look at Tom Brady." And I just think that narrative is so dumb. Just because Tom Brady was a free agent.
Oh yeah, for sure. No,
not what you said. Just in general, I'm not talking about you, but I just think it's so different when you are a free agent. You saw it with the Leafs with Tavares and all these good players. You're not giving up anything to get them, so you can still use your picks and build. But if I'm a franchise, I'm trading 3 first-round picks for a quarterback plus probably. I can't build around them. So basically, if Aaron Rodgers gets a trade, or maybe not Deshaun Watson, but if Aaron Rodgers wants a trade, no matter what team he goes to, if it's Denver, if it's whatever, even if it's my Giants, they're so much worse than Green Bay because they're giving up so much and they can't build around you. So I think Tom Brady did it perfectly. You walk in free agency and you take less money so they can pick your left tackle, so they can pick defense, so they can give Devin White an extension, so they can do all this stuff. But I personally don't think the narrative of all quarterbacks want to move is going to be worked because we've never seen in the NFL a crazy quarterback trade involving a million picks in their prime or just before their prime. So I think we're kind of in unprecedented territories. And I do think Aaron Rodgers' situation is a little bit different because he doesn't see eye on the coach. And in Green Bay, they don't have an owner. So it's shared by the board of governors. And it's so many people with their hands on the steering wheel. And and Aaron Rodgers doesn't get a say. And it's like, if I don't have an owner, I would want Aaron Rodgers to do more. But for some unknown reason, Green Bay doesn't look at that. They have Matt LaFleur. They don't pick anybody. And I saw they picked the receiver out of Clemson late in the draft and said, "Oh, they finally picked the receiver for Aaron Rodgers." Well, it's like, well, they picked a corner out of Georgia in the first round. So they're not exactly thinking about Aaron Rodgers. So I just think the whole Green Bay situation is a mess. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd definitely ask for trade.
Okay. That sounds like it is. Let's move on. NFL draft. Let's go around the table just real quick. One word answer. Did you enjoy it? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I'll say yes. I enjoyed it.
Sure.
Great.
Great for the sport. Happens every year.
Yes, it does. Okay, NBA. Raptors with a big win last night. I don't have the score in front of me, but I know Kyle Lowry
Yeah, I
went
got
off.
it. 121, 114. LA Lakers taken over by the Raptors rather. A couple interesting notes here because I don't know if you guys remember, but I certainly do as a Raptors fan. Way back when in the Cleveland era, LeBron owned the Raptors, and I think it was called the North.
LeBronto.
Yeah, LeBronto or something like that. So it's an interesting fact to know that since LeBron moved to the Lakers, he's actually 0-5 against the Raptors. And that is the new stat of the day for the Toronto Raptors fans out there. However, crazy night last night for the two stars, Lowry and Siakam. Lowry had 37 rebounds. LOL. Just kidding. 37 points, 2 rebounds, 11 assists. Crazy. Siakam had 39 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists. Just a crazy night. And we're also missing Gary Trent and Fred VanVleet to note, as well as LeBron and AD were in there the whole time. So maybe not the whole time. I think they're still kind of rehabbing a little bit of game management. However, it kind of sucks because I was planning to come on the show and give the Raptors a hard time because we were really struggling and we're still 2 or 3 games behind the 11th spot or 10th spot to get into the play-in tournament, which is still hard as it is. But to see this win and to see like how well we dominated the Lakers, I guess, is hoping that we can kick something forward. So I don't know what you guys have to say on this. I know Matt would probably have an opinion.
Yeah, I think the Raptors are done. Like, I do see a lot of Raptors fans getting all hyped and stuff, but you have to realize that I think, I'll actually have it right here. Anthony Davis got 12 points and LeBron James got 19. That never happens, like, ever. So like Brandon said, they're both obviously hurt. They're not 100%. LeBron even said, yeah, I don't even know if I'll get back to 100% because I actually don't know. So I kind of look at this. True. I look at this more as LeBron and AD were barely able to play. They still played. And the Raptors only beat them by a bit, and it took Kyle Lowry and Siakam. It wasn't Siakam. Who went off? It was Lowry.
Yeah, both of those two went off for
Lowry
just under 40.
Yeah, just for and I just think your 2 best players have to play insane, drop 40, which never happens. And LeBron and AD were both held to under 20 because of injuries. So I just think if I'm the Raptors fans, I would not let this get to my head. It was kind of a fluke game. LeBron, not excuses, but like, you guys know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just like, you shouldn't.
So we're still sitting 2 games behind Washington, and Washington is at 29-35. We're at 27-38, 3 losses behind. But I mean, it's not looking too promising, even if we get into that situation, because Washington is a trend and they're going up. So, I mean, Josh, do you have any opinion on whether or not the Raptors are going to do something, or if that was just a fluke last night?
If they get in, they'll be lucky. You always like to see your team from your city win. It was a night when I saw that score, I was like, oh, damn, nice. But it happens. You do win big games. It might be a nice little boost for the guys. I don't think they can tank too far down. Like, I think the best they can get is the 7th pick because there's teams so far behind them. But so you might as well push for it and try and make this spot, give the fans something to go for, give your team something to go for, have a common goal and work towards it. Because playing to win is 100 times better than playing to not win. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference, right? So you're going to want to work towards that as a group. But if anything, it's going to help this group grow and get experience in, like, tight situations, tight games, pressure situations. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe Washington drops a couple and the Raptors can go on a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, for me, Washington was such a surprise. They went on a crazy streak recently, and they had a really slow start to the season, also as well as the Raptors did. But they also always kept ahead, and I always undermined the Wizards because they were always at the bottom. But now they've really made a great case for themselves. And speaking of making a case for themselves, the man returns. LaMelo Ball comes back over the weekend and plays in a back-to-back, actually. They win the first game, lose the second. He drops pretty good numbers, nearly a triple-double in both games, just short, but not great points. He still looks a little bit inconsistent. However, it was really nice to see him back. We're speaking of that play-in tournament, and the Charlotte Hornets are right there in the 8th spot right now. And so they're 3 games behind Boston, and they're 1 game ahead of Indiana. So they're got to be in the mix. I really want to see LaMelo in the playoffs for sure. On LaMelo, the Rookie of the Year race is getting really interesting with his return because Anthony Edwards has been, in my opinion, probably one of the more front runners, especially because of the injury. Unfortunately, hopefully something might end at the end of the year where LaMelo and Anthony Edwards are in a really, really tight race, because that would be exciting for the league. Because you remember how potentially, if you remember how Zion was hurt for his rookie year. Jaw had a great rookie year, but he came back and almost made a case for rookie of the year. And then you can never win rookie of the year again. You know what I mean? So it's something that these kids probably look forward to. And it's a really tight race, on my opinion. So LaMelo came back through a full court dime highlight reel. And last night he had a crazy layup highlight reel as well. But everyone's putting his stuff on the internet. I like to see it personally. I would like to see the Charlotte Hornets in the playoffs as well. So what do you guys have to think on this? Do you think that there's a tight race? I want to know if you think, because I'm curious to know Matt's opinion on the rookie of the year, actually, because I've never asked him.
Yeah, it's so fascinating just when you look at the last couple of years. Like Ben Simmons got hurt for the whole year and then he won rookie of the year. But I just think injuries are messing up this award so much, and it's kind of a shame. But in terms of like
Tyrese Halliburton had a scary injury last night.
Yeah,
he was actually he was in the rookie of the year talk as well. So I forgot to mention that he had a scary injury last night.
Yeah, a lot of people are getting hurt right now. Yeah, but
back to your point.
In terms of rookie of the year, I would go with LaMelo Ball because I just think he's impacted Charlotte so much more than Anthony Edwards. And I just think when you have two guys that are up for it, one's taking his team to the playoffs to the play-in, and the other one's on a trash team and doesn't even know the owner's name. So no offense to Anthony Edwards, but I'm not really pulling for him in this situation. I'll give it to LaMelo.
Good. Josh, do you have a quick one? Because I know you might have an opinion.
I don't watch too many basketball games. Like if it's on, I'll watch it.
So let me tell you something. Anthony Edwards is statistically doing better. Actually, he's averaging 18 points a game, a little bit more rebounds. However, LaMelo Ball has just as good assist numbers and triple-double. Like he has a little bit more of a steady average line.
He does more of everything, he
does more of everything, and the point of the winning situation that Matt mentioned as well. So, but I will let you know that Edwards has been very consistent, almost played in every game, and put up crazy highlights.
But his team consistently loses. Like that's my
So this is my question, right? For rookie of the year, it's for me. It's the.
But how was Memphis last year? Were they shit too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry, but
it's the player that makes the most impact on their team, right? Because that's what you're looking for in a rookie, is like the guy that comes in. Like, let's take a look at Austin Matthews in 2016. He came in, got the Leafs into a playoffs. So what are we doing? Like, who's making the better impact for their team in a positive way?
LaMelo.
Yeah, I think we've decided. I'm not really.
So then
it's
LaMelo,
unfortunate. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. Yeah. His play is crazy, but as far as we are at the moment right now, and unless a great fall, but I see the play in the Hornets' future, and potentially with LaMelo coming back now, that could be more of a case for him, right? Because if he was to miss maybe another week or two, who knows? That would have gone right to Edwards potentially, right?
They're both stars, though. I just want to say that they're both stars. Josh, on your tier system, I would say they're both going to be 5-star players, so can't really go wrong in this situation.
Yeah. Speaking of 5-star players, I actually didn't think this man was until over the weekend, but I do think Jason Tatum is turning into the real deal. 60 points, one of his career highs, and the Boston Celtics were falling, but with his help, a lot of his teammates are saying that, he's the next, he's next up rather. So the Celtics are still struggling as a team. But Matt, did you see about this Jason Tatum story? And I guess the story for me is that I never really took him serious until lately.
No, he's a good player, and everyone's been saying Jason Tatum's been arriving for the last 4 years, so it's about damn time that he's here. So he's a good player. I just remember like when he dunked on LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals in Cleveland like 4 or 5 years ago. Everyone was saying that now, but I just think when you're a Boston Celtics fan, it's so frustrating that he might drop 61 game and it might not be as consistent. Or like Jaylen Brown will get hurt or not be consistent.
Yeah.
So I just think the story, whenever I think about Tatum or just the Celtics in general, is their lack of winning as a team. When they go out and sign Tristan Thompson, who hasn't really worked. When they make all these moves and they're always just involved in chatter.
Yeah, Tristan Thompson did not work out as well as I thought it would.
You just want to see more in terms of winning. But yeah, I think Jason Tatum's on his way to be a star.
So there is a tight race in the Western Conference. It's actually a tie right now for first place, and that's between the Suns and the Jazz. Josh had a note here against the Jazz. What would you want to elaborate on, Josh?
They dropped 154 points, was it last night, breaking a franchise record. And I'm seeing a lot of good coming out of this team. Like, they just seem to keep winning. And I remember the Jazz, they were kind of an irrelevant team for a while. So are they on the
They were one of those consistent teams that never missed the playoffs, but they would never make it past
do anything. Right. So are they the real deal now? Like, can these guys potentially be looking at like a 5-year run, or is this just a one-off for this season?
Let me say something before Matt goes, because he probably has. I don't watch the West Conference, especially the Jazz, but Matt might know a thing or two. However, with the recent injuries in the West, and honestly the demise of LeBron and AD, I guess I don't know. Like, I personally don't see something really happening with the Lakers right now, and especially because Matt mentioned earlier, and I did see LeBron said, "I don't think I'll ever be back to 100 in my career." Like, and if he was to say that for the first time in his career,
off an ankle sprain, this guy's just setting himself up for success.
Yeah, right. So they're looking in 7th place. They're actually tied for 7th place. They actually might get into the play-in tournament that LeBron so hates so damn much. So I would love to see that happen, get them bounced out of that, and even bounce by like Phoenix or Utah in this situation. However, back to Utah. They're consistent now, and I was mentioning they always get play. Every year in the last 3 years they've had a close 7 to 6 game series with the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets lost Jamal Murray, and that situation might be a little bit easier for them to get past. And if they can get over that hump in the playoffs, who knows what confidence that can do. You look at the Phoenix Suns this year; they went 8-0 in the play-in bubble, and they didn't even get into the situation to get a chance at the playoffs. This year, Chris Paul comes. They said, "Fuck that! We're gonna get first place or second place in the whole Western Conference," and they did that. And the Utah Jazz, they went on like a 20-something game winning streak, like just like in the middle of the season. They almost did it twice. And, everyone was just saying, "Oh, they're good. They're really good. They're good. They're really good." And then now it's like coming down to the playoffs, and they're probably going to get – I hope it's a cakewalk in the first round. But if it's not, the Utah Jazz would hope to be I think it'd be a disappointing season if they didn't make it to the finals of the Western Conference. But what do you have to say, Matt?
No, I don't believe in them at all. I just think they lost like 2 games to Minnesota last week, and Rudy made fun of Minnesota. So
That's
I think
funny. Minnesota is unbeaten against them. You're right. Minnesota actually beat them every game this year. So the one team that they lost their whole matchup to was against the Jazz, and so that's a good point because talking about Anthony Edwards here.
I just think it's all about stars, right? And I just don't see in the fourth quarter if they're playing a Kawhi, if they even make it to the final and play Giannis and just LeBron and all these guys. I just don't think
Bucks are terrible.
Yeah, I just don't think Utah will take it over, and I don't think they're like that yet. So
yeah,
I don't believe in them.
That'll be interesting to see them surprise us, because they will have that. They'll have that potential, because I am doubting them. So if they surprise me, I'm hoping that Phoenix Suns stay true to where they are, because it'd be exciting to see Chris Paul get a ring for like once in his career.
Right. So we've mentioned this playoff or play-in format, where the 8th seed would play the 10th seed and the 7th seed would play the 9th seed, something like that. I don't know. It's really stupid. What do we think of this? Because I think once you have your 8 teams, that should be it. But the NBA, the greedy motherfuckers they are, they want those extra playoff games, which aren't really playoff games. They're play-in games. I understand it in a pandemic year, but having it in like a regular season, and they played 10 less games this year, but like, come on. We don't need a play-in series. If you're the top 8 teams in one of your conferences, you should be right in. Like the 10th and 9th seed shouldn't be playing to get into the playoffs. You were just played 82 games, or this year 72 games.
There's a couple points I like about this, because actually
I don't get it. And like, if you're 1 game behind, why didn't you win 1 more game in the regular season? You don't need a play-in series for that. It's a fucking joke, in my opinion.
I tend to disagree. I understand where you're coming from. However, in my fan experience, as this play-in tournament was introduced last year, and even some of the players kind of hindered to the fact that it was a kickstarter to the playoffs, and it actually enhanced the level of play, made a little bit more of the place team serious, because there was no fans. It was the first time they were in the bubble, and they had this play-in tournament, and you saw that some teams used it to their advantage and kick themselves right in, and some played themselves right out of a situation. I like it on the fact that they said that. They also mentioned that they were looking to implement it for like the rest going forward in the NBA, which was an interesting statement. But to your point about like greedy more playoff games, it's interesting because I feel as if though when I notice this and I look at the standings, it's kind of giving these bottom teams that aren't the worst in the league a chance to make a push for themselves. That makes the season more entertaining for everyone. There's less tankers. There's less like you're not sitting the stars on the bottom teams as much. Like Zion Williamson is in the Raptors situation. The Pelicans are in the Raptors situation. They're 2 games out of the 10th spot, but they still want to play meaningful basketball. That's like Zion, Lonzo, Ingram. Those are some of the highest rated, young guys in the Western Conference. They don't want to just give up on their season. You'd have thought that they were 8th or 7th place, Josh, without me telling you that Zion Williamson's having a great year.
I get what you're saying, right? But
yes, yeah, but the fact that they're giving these guys the chances, obviously, we've only seen it in a coronavirus year with less games too. But the fact given is that that's giving the chance at least to these guys are now anxious about it. LeBron's anxious. He's worried he's going to get into that play-in system and he's going to lose. And he's worried because he's in sixth place. And if it wasn't for this playoff system, he'd be 4 or 5 games ahead of eighth place without even worrying about a play-in situation. But his team goes down one more spot. He's in the seventh. All of a sudden, he's playing extra games in a season that if he doesn't win and he wants to sit through, there goes your ring. There goes your back-to-back. But I mean, that's taking it a little bit more serious. You saw that he sat out for he sat out for the most in his career. I think this past like 20-something games this year, and it affected his team drastically. I mean, I thought they were a heavy favorite. Now they lost Dennis Schroeder for 2 weeks. Andre Drummond isn't really impressive to me at all. I'm kind of going off her, but the playoff format to me is exciting as a fan right now. If there's like there's horrible injuries and everyone I can't go against the players. If all the players have like a 90% vote against the fact that they hate it, I might have to start hating it too. But as of right now, I kind of disagree.
Yeah, that was funny just seeing you guys go back at it. Yeah, but I agree with Josh. I think it's so dumb. Like, and I'll explain why before. And then Brandon, you can argue or just say.
Well, hang on. Let me just say you mentioned that like I just. What's the point of the regular season if you're just gonna let
exactly
play anyway, right? Like it's dumb.
Like you could literally make it in the 10th spot and your record is like 21-38.
Yeah.
Like I think it's ludicrous. Like when you actually think about it, I just think so many games in the NBA already don't matter in the regular season, but now they don't matter even more because you could finish 10th out of a conference of 15, 16 teams and still make it into the postseason.
I just don't think that the NBA is that lackadaisical. I think it's still competitive though. Like
no, it's not, Brandon. It's the most lackadaisical league I've ever seen. Like we made fun of Kevin Durant. We made fun of Kevin Durant a few weeks ago because he had a thigh.
Yeah.
And then I personally just think
Kevin Love gave the ball to the other team.
The NBA is nuts. Like I just personally think, in my opinion, they're doing this because A, COVID, more money, like Josh said, and B, kind of what Brandon was alluding to. The NBA, I don't want to say they rig it for their star players, but
they do.
Yeah, they want Zion just to play in more games. They want LaMelo, like you said, to play in more games. And I think they saw the Donovan Mitchell Murray series last year and they're just like, yo, if we get stars going against each other in games that don't matter, it'll be fun. But I just think you lose so much of the traditional 1 versus 8, and it's just going to be awful. And I don't really think and just to go to the LeBron thing, I don't think LeBron's scared. I just think he looks at like I was in a bubble last year. This was the shortest offseason in all 4 major sports. And now I have to play extra games when our team already played 70 and made the playoffs. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if I finish 7 and a team finishes 10, we're not the same. Like, I don't even care if they beat us. I just think we're not the same. And I think if you switch this to hockey and we were Leaf fans talking about this, we would hate it. It's so dumb because I don't know who's 7 versus 10 right now in the Eastern Conference of hockey, but I guarantee you it would be a stupid matchup and it would be like Montreal versus Columbus. Like, I don't think people want to see this. Like, Josh, you know what I'm trying to say? Just my point of Brandon, you could argue what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. Before Josh says something, I want to say it's very situational. You bring a good point. The NHL is simply not as exciting as the NBA and could not pull this off. I don't think that's really a valid argument. They're two different leagues.
No, I think it would be. The NHL 7 versus 10 would be more competitive than NBA 7 versus 10.
No, I disagree there. When the NHL they did a play-in last season. They did it with the teams that were like kind of on the it was the top 2 in each division made it through, and then the other ones. That was so boring, man. Like
so fucking ugly.
You're only saying that because the Leafs lost. If we won, you wouldn't have cared.
If the Leafs won, but that wasn't the playoffs. It's not the playoffs.
The Leafs didn't deserve to even make the playoffs, and it proved. Like the Leafs had a shitty. Like they weren't consistent. I guess like if you put this in the MLB, I think it just makes it look ugly as fuck. Like I think it's situational in the MLB.
The MLB needs to let more than 3 teams into the playoffs. That's their issue.
And yeah, exactly. But the thing is with the NBA, I think you're right though. They do have talent almost individually on every team that could buy money, sell tickets, and increase revenue.
Look at it this way: they're already playing 82 games in the regular season, and you need to win 16 to win the trophy in hockey and basketball. Why on earth do we have to play more games now? I think if you just look at it from that perspective, it sounds so dumb. It really does.
Right. I mean, to be honest, they get paid to play sports, so I hope they're enjoying the fact that they get paid like the most money on earth to entertain us and
I
do
hate that argument. I
a
honestly
game
hate
for a
that
living. I get
like
it. It's not. I'm not saying that. I'm not degrading their physical aspects and the workout and the mental and everything involved. Trust me, I understand what it's like to be an athlete. But for these guys, I think that, for God's sakes, a little bit of basketball and more games back to back. Like I think you're an athlete. You should be able to handle things a little bit more differently. I mean, I understand injuries when you get that older are life threatening and people never play again after an ankle tweak. But maybe people just got to start understanding. It's hard though. I can't say understanding because it's the COVID stuff that does this. I mean, it's been pushed. So I'd love to see a larger game. But if you're to your point, 82 games plus a play-in series would be ridiculous. I don't know if that would look too hot.
If you're doing the play-in series, shorten the amount of the regular season because you've just
yes, like the 82 thing doesn't make sense. Of sure, yeah, 82. Yes, that's traditional 1 versus 8, I would imagine. But we were not traditional right now. And you mentioned the word traditional when you said 1 versus 8, and maybe traditional 1 versus 8 is gone. Like who even knows if that ever comes back?
Shouldn't they just do 1 versus 16? Like the NBA has enough money to do that travel. Like who cares? You want to see the 16 best teams. How would that be boring though?
It'd be a waste of time, I'd imagine, but it couldn't. I mean,
you know what I think, Josh? In every league, 1 versus 16. Why it might not work? Because I don't think you're going to get those playoff rivalries, and you're going to have the Leafs play Minnesota. So I just think it's so much like I only played this team 2 times the whole year, and now I'm going to have to play them in a 7-game series. Like I just don't think it makes sense in that retrospective. And also, yeah, okay, go.
Aren't playoffs how you develop rivalries? Because I would now say that the Leafs are.
No, but okay. I would not say the Leafs are rivals with Columbus, but
I would. I fucking hate Columbus.
You can hate Columbus, but I don't see a rivalry.
Okay, so let's put a tie on this. Let's say the NBA, they want more games being played because they want more money. What if there was a way? I haven't thought this through fully. I know the KHL does it sometimes. The teams that don't make the playoffs do like a losers March Madness.
No, you can't have the winner of the losers.
No. And then the winner of that gets like an extra draft pick or something.
No, gosh, that's like saying we're going to run a track race and the 2 people that come last are going to have to race each other after the race is done. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I want to see who the loser is.
Yeah, but like
you can call it the worst of the worst.
Yo, like, actually, let me have a point right here. I think this is a society thing, and I don't even think it's just sports. I think as a society right now, we're so inclined to include everybody in something that should only be, I don't want to say elite people, but yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, certain things, like, I love track, but I can never run as fast as Usain Bolt. So it wouldn't make sense to give me an opportunity just because I finished 16th instead of first. And that was just an example.
Qualify for the Olympics?
No, but I'm just saying in general.
Well, you're trying to say that, like, for example, the Minnesota Timberwolves are not even on the same level as the Phoenix Suns. So why would they even deserve a chance? For the same, they both played a season of NBA basketball, and they're going to get the same chance as each other. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, I have a better analogy. It's like I don't know, like, you know how all the smart kids in elementary school went to like a debate or they did like something special or they went on like a field trip to find out who the smartest kids were or something. You can't.
What school did you go to? I never had that field trip.
Josh, you probably just never made that competition.
I guess
they never told you.
Yeah,
you weren't involved in that.
They didn't even have it at Josh's schools.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah,
invited.
but like, imagine if they went to someone like Josh said, you know what, man, you're really working hard. I know you get C's and D's, but I want you to come to this academic. I want you to come to this academic decathlon. That's what we're doing just for basketball. Like, if you're not good enough in anything in life, I don't think you get a +1 just because you worked hard and you showed up. It's like sometimes in life, you know what? You might not be good enough and you might not make it, but that's okay. We don't have to make rules to include everybody. Like, that's okay. Like, you know what I mean?
I love that.
I think we got our.
Let's move to a different sport now.
Like, no, one more analogy and then we'll go. Okay. Like, you guys are in school for sports marketing and all that stuff. I'm sure there's one kid in your class that has no idea what they're doing. They're not prepared.
No comments.
They know nothing. And if they came to you and said, yo, I want to be on this podcast with you every single episode, and you guys would be like, no, I don't want you on the podcast. And the reason you don't want them is because they're probably lazy and they don't know stuff. But the way we're going in society, you would be inclined to invite them just because they work hard and they show up. Like, I think it's not.
Just because they reached out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening with the playoffs. It's insane. Like, if you have the top 10 in every league. That's 20 out of 30. So think about it. 20 out of 30 are going to play in a playoff series. That's insanity. So you might as well just let the other 10 in, and we'll have a first-round series of Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Buffalo Sabres. Like, it's a mess.
Run it. Let's do it. All right.
Speaking of those two teams, let's go to the hockey sport.
Yeah, let's do that. It's official. I thought it was already official, but I guess it's official. The Kraken are the official. Oh, fuck God, it's official so many times.
Jesus.
The Kraken are in. They're the 32nd team in the NHL. So what do we think's next for them? They got to announce a coach still. So let's start there. Who do we think will be the head coach of the Seattle Kraken who start playing next season?
Rob Brendamore.
Interesting. All right.
I'll go Gerard Gallant.
I'm gonna go Bruce Boudreau. So we all got 3 different picks there. Now, Brandon, you brought up a good point with Gerard Gallant.
I said that.
Yeah, I said the wrong name with Rod Brendamore. He currently doesn't have a contract for next season, and the Carolina owner is cheap as fuck. So he wants to be paid. The Carolina owner is cheap. He does not like to pay players. He doesn't like to pay his staff. He just wants to see his team do well and go, okay, here's $5. So what we want to see, Rob Brendamore is owed a contract. He is probably one of the top 3 coaches in the NHL this year. He's going to be up for the Jack Adams Award. If he's not, it'll be an absolute robbery. In my opinion, he should win it. But let's take a look at what he said, because he says, yeah, I want my coaching staff to be paid as well. So this guy's saying, yeah, I'll resign, but you better pay my guys as well. So is Brendamore's time in Carolina done because the owner's not necessarily the most generous guy when it comes to contracts?
Wait, Josh, can I just ask you a question before we get into this?
Yeah.
No, let's not think about hockey. Let's just think in business. I don't think an employee should be able to say, yeah, I'll work for your company, but you have to pay all these other employees more. Like, that's not how business works.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Like, this isn't every business. This is sports, and the general manager does shit all for the team.
One second.
All the guy did was he had a great upbringing and childhood, and maybe he invested in stocks, and now he owns the NBA team. But he does dick all for the product on the court that makes him that money and the stock that he gets back in the return for why he bought that team. If you bought the Cavaliers when LeBron was on it and you thought the same trend was going to happen and he just leaves, like, now your whole situation sucks, and you're spending money in a situation to get fans in the seat because there's no one to play for.
But don't you?
I know what you mean.
Let me just expand on the thought. Let's put it like this. Let's say Dundon's cheap, whatever. You knowing that, don't you think it's not really productive and it's counterproductive to go to him in a pandemic and give demands? Don't you think that's a little, like, not gonna work? You know what I'm trying to say? I think it creates a negative
at the same time, if he doesn't, then it's not a big deal because Josh said it. He'll get hired somewhere else.
Yeah, and he'll probably bring his team with him,
and he'll get that money wherever he. So it's essentially the GM's fault, and it's not I lost this guy to the other Burger King, to Harvey's, and he's gonna go make more hamburgers and sales than me. It's like, I lost this guy to the Seattle Kraken. They might beat me in the playoffs and cost me my career or something like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that analogy coming.
No, but it makes sense because, like, it's not like, Matt, I wouldn't go to my work and say, hey, yeah, I'll keep working here, but you got to pay my refs more. That's just unrealistic. But in a world where everyone's contracts are coming up, that's what you do.
That's the sports world, man. It's crazy. Money talks.
Where was Carolina when Brendamore came in? They were crap. Look what he's done to this team. He's made them an amazing competitor, top NHL.
I have a rebuttal.
What?
I did some digging, and apparently Tom Dundon, an owner of Carolina, what's that word? When you do something over again, like construction. No.
Renovated.
Yeah, sorry. He renovated the building. He did a lot of fan interaction. So before
how does that help the on-ice product?
I'm saying he's brought more money in, and as soon as he bought the team that didn't make the playoffs for the last 10 years, they made the playoffs. And also, Carolina works different, and Tom Dundon is kind of like Jerry Jones, where he is the GM. He is making trades. He is making draft picks. So I think he's a lot more involved in the hockey ops. So, yeah, he's not coaching, but he is making trades. He did negotiate contract. So he is kind of responsible than more just a typical owner, just to go back on what Brandon's point is. So he's not just there signing checks. He's very involved.
Yes, thank you. That's I get that you're saying.
I think that's important, as an important distinction, because it's not like he's a billionaire owner who just sits on the yacht and then
right. Steve Ballmer.
Like he's very involved. I think he hired an analytics department. So I'm personally on the side of Tom Dundon, where why is this public, you making demands? Couldn't we just deal with this in a more professional setting at the end of the year? So I am on the side of Tom Dundon, the owner, in this situation.
I just think that regardless of what side I'm on, like, the business is the business, and the fact that if he doesn't want to pay Brendan more, I know, and I think Josh agrees, and maybe we all do, you'll get hired somewhere else, and then it's just another problem in Carolina where you were this close to achieving something, and then you just lost your momentum, I would say, because there goes, I think a lot of people play for Brendan Moore. He was the guy who won a cup with that team, and a lot of people on that team recognize that, and they want to play hard for their coach when that's the situation. So,
Tom Dundon pumped $100 million into the XFL and lost it all, so he has the money to pay them. He just doesn't want to. Like, how much is he realistically going to spend giving these guys a raise? Maybe $2 million a year. Like, come on, buddy. Like, get over yourself. Pay your coaches because they're doing a damn good job on the ice. So, don't let this guy go to the Kraken and then they pull a Vegas and get into the Cup final, and now you're playing Seattle in the Cup final and they kick your ass because you got out coached.
But Josh,
there we go.
That's not how people like that think.
Because they're stupid and they think dollar signs first.
Okay, let's find a different topic.
Well,
soon.
I mean, he's the billionaire, so I wouldn't really call him stupid.
He's stupid.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
I want to have a word with him. The guy's a dumbass. All right. Where am I here? So speaking of a lot of money, there's a new TV deal in the NHL. TNT is going to happen.
Right.
And they want to grow the game of hockey, it seems, and they want to present it in the same way basketball is going to be presented. So we could see Barkley and Shaq talking about hockey, maybe some Stephen.
We've already seen Stephen A. Smith mention it, and it's pretty awkward.
Yeah. So is this format possible, or do they need to kind of grow the on ice product first and promote your stars so people know what the hell you're talking about? Because I'm sure if you
how do you not promote your stars, Josh? That's what video games are for, marketing. The stars are promoted right now.
Okay, but no. Let's say
who's on the cover of the video game? A star. Austin Matthews.
Brandon, it's just funny because I want to talk about what Brandon said was funny. Let's just go over that. Like, just funny. Like, imagine being in a marketing meeting and says, "We need to market this. What are we gonna do?" In your answer, video games. Like, I just think it actually, like, Brandon, it speaks to where we're going in a society that video games matter, e-games matter. And I do remember being a little kid and knowing hockey players based off the video game.
Yes. I can tell you, like, Payne was on this one, Taves was on that one. Dion Phaneuf had his own cover, like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so Josh, go ahead. But I think,
Go on, Josh.
Let's say I was to put on TNT right now, and I live in, name a state, Alabama, okay? And they start talking about hockey, and they're talking about Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. They're talking about the top stars in the league. I'm going to be sitting there being like, okay, when's college football on? Because I have no idea who the hell these guys are, because the NHL is.
So you got to get the college football analysis to tell them about hockey.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, people outside of a hockey market do not know who the stars of the league are. And Canada,
how do you do that, Josh?
You got to promote the league. You got to stop with the stupid schedule making, which, by the way, okay, I'm going to tell you how you promote the league. You don't schedule one game on a Sunday that's Tampa Bay versus Red Wing and then 14 fucking games tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out Red Wings.
So, okay, yeah, sure. Shout out Red Wings. But, make the schedule proper, have some more highlight reel matchups. Like, when we go back to a normal schedule, don't have the Oilers play the Leafs only twice a year. Get them in here 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Do you think they need to change up the standings and the conferences?
No, they're not. I read an article. They're not, because since Seattle's coming in, it's finally balanced. Because I think it will be 7, 7, 7, and 7. Or something like that, because it's 32.
Yeah, but so they need to fix the layout of the schedule. We don't need to play the Habs 6 times. Play them 4 and get 2 of those games to go out and play Oilers. You can do an unbalanced schedule.
Or even like Toronto go to like LA more, because like I know or Florida, like
because you gotta or even to Josh's point, if there was a team in Alabama, you got to have the Leafs go down there, and the Penguins and Crosby and Matthews and Edmonton go down there and play to show them. If you don't go down there a couple more times than once,
can I ask you a question?
In the 82 game season, and like, for example, and the Leafs only went down to Anaheim twice. You play them twice a year at 82 games. You're like, wow.
They go down once.
Yeah, they go down.
Right. Whatever. Sorry. What's the question?
Yeah, my question just is, I know we always say promote the stars, but don't you think it kind of hurts hockey that the majority of the stars don't want to be promoted?
No. Okay,
Majority of the stars don't want to be promoted.
Let me.
Yeah,
let me
they
say,
don't.
Matt,
Like
Matt,
every
Matt,
interview, they don't answer questions like how normal people answer questions.
That is a press conference is the worst platform to promote your stars. You want to get.
But look
to
what
know...
the NBA does. That's what they do. Like I know LeBron and I know the personality.
I don't think 20 minutes. Really...
But like whenever I hear Connor McDavid,
what was the most interesting thing Austin Matthews ever did? It was like his shoot with GQ. We want to see that. I don't care what he thinks about their breakout after a 4-1 loss at
anything on YouTube too. Like for God's sakes, like.
But the majority of hockey players don't do that.
Sorry, this is a bad example, but sorry everyone for interrupting. But you guys remember when they all went on that show we don't want to mention and shot against the goalie, and they were all with Matt Martin, Mitch Marner, and Austin Matthews, and they were on YouTube at that studio. That was fun to watch, unfortunately.
No, but granted,
that was unfortunately fun.
You don't like the brand like what you just said, right? So think about all the blowback they might have got on Twitter. So the Leafs might said, yo, we're not going to do stuff like that because we got
but you guys remember what I'm talking about?
But I'm saying it's hard to grow the game when the stars, something so controversial could happen or a big things in society and they don't talk about it. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So it's kind of hard that
I think you're stuck in the mindset of like you want them to speak. You want them to, correct me if I'm wrong. You want them to speak up about like social justice issues.
No. Stuff. I want them to be regular people and speak about their interests. And the majority of people, even just in your lives, have probably talked about what has happened in the world. But it could be something else. It could be shoes. It could be fashion. Why does everybody hate PK? Because he talks about that stuff and they say he's a distraction.
Hockey fans, yeah, you're right. You're not.
That's
honestly,
why I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying you can't grow it because the hockey culture doesn't like that.
Really,
okay, so Matt, you just said one of the words I hate the most. That's hockey culture. Fuck hockey culture. Let's get everybody inside. Let's make the game accessible for everybody. I want to know.
People don't want that though, Josh.
But no. Take a look at on. You guys know what F1 is, right? Like the racing.
Yeah.
They have a Netflix series.
Yes, and it's boosted the whole entire thing.
Boosted the whole thing. My mom was watching the race because she was like, "Oh yeah, I was watching the series with your dad."
Dude, and the sports card industry is going off on the F1 card.
Josh, let me bring a point though. Do you remember HBO and they did Randy Carlisle and they
have that in my notes. I have that in my notes.
Yes. And what happened? No, let me finish. What happened? Why they stopped doing that was because
too much information.
Yes, and the teams did not like that because.
Okay, but that's where the NHL goes.
It's done improperly. That was just done improperly.
Yeah, the NHL goes.
What I'm saying is they're not. Yo, let me talk. They're not going to go back because what happens is the coach, a Mike Babcock, a John Tortorella, or whatever, a normal hockey coach, goes to GM and president and says, "I don't like this." And the president and those people tell the owner, and the owner says, "Yeah, we're not doing this." You can't switch that dynamic because the majority of people that work in hockey ops are not young like us. They're still 40 to 60, and they don't even like it when people celebrate. Like I heard people not like Matthews skates. Like it's just the oddest hockey. Remember the
that's also good for the sport too.
Exactly, but remember the marketing on the jersey, and everyone said, "Oh, you can't put the logos and stuff on the jersey. It ruins it. This jersey's been worn since 1912." Like hockey has that mindset, and I'm saying that is ingrained in a majority of the players since when they're 12. Like I remember I saw John Tavares talk, when he got exceptional player status, they made him go to media training for a day. And I'm like, what? Like, don't you think it's absurd that you have these standards and
That's just professionalism though.
No,
right,
granted,
Josh?
But the
media training?
No, the profession. What it is they don't want you talking off the cuff and what you actually think.
Yes, so, but you actually that actually as the organization who hires that guy, that affects his brand because if they don't train him,
hockey doesn't have a brand. No, that's not how that works.
Oh, the general manager
that's the problem.
Gave me
hockey doesn't have a brand.
But the problem is because they did the media stuff.
Said in the media in an interview said, "Oh yeah, but," and he didn't know this, and he said, "Yeah, the manager actually before I signed here gave me $10 for a Burger King. It was really cool." That fucks up everything.
That's not what it was. No. It's
an example.
Ask me a simple hockey question, and I'll say how no one person would answer than how a hockey player answers. Josh, just ask me any hockey question.
But you need to be trained so you don't say the things I just said. Sorry.
Josh, ask me any hockey question. This will work. Go. Just ask me anyone.
What did you think of the game tonight?
A hockey player would say, yeah, the goalie stood in his head. We just couldn't get pucks in deep, blah, 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 blah. And they just say that. A normal person would be like, yo, we sucked. Or, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think they don't.
A bad teammate might, though.
What?
Bad teammate though. That's a bad teammate though, is it not? If you just call
No,
your
but
team
that's what I'm saying. What you just said is hockey culture. No, it's not a bad teammate saying we didn't play good, but you as a hockey player think it is, and that's the whole problem. You
I'm just
proved my
asking the
point.
question.
That's
Don't
the whole
put
problem.
that on me. I'm just saying.
Okay, but I'm
that's the
saying
question.
that question getting asked doesn't grow the game because they're not honest because they don't want to say they're a bad teammate. That's what I'm saying. I've heard LeBron yell at people say you can't make a layup. And imagine hockey, Austin Matthews.
There's a difference in the leagues, yeah.
Imagine Austin Matthews yelling at Cody Ceci saying, "Why did you suck last year?" Like that would
Well,
get
he
blown
yelled that at
so
the
out of
referees.
proportion. you know what I'm trying to say?
But I would love that. I want Matthews to turn around to Joe Thornton and say, "Hey, can you fucking skate faster next time?" Like,
I mean, I would love
Yeah,
that too, honestly.
That's
because
that's not what the majority of hockey culture would say. I know we would.
We need to get rid of that because it's
Well, yeah, but
we won't.
Yeah.
They don't.
yeah,
no,
well, whatever. I don't even know where I wanted to go with that conversation, so we'll fucking just move
no,
on.
neither.
Ryan Miller has retired. What do we think of Ryan Miller's career?
Man, I actually love Ryan Miller. He was one of my
go
favorite
ahead.
goalies growing up. Sorry, Josh, but I think I don't know if I've told you. But okay, well then finish your question. But Ryan Miller was I watched him from when he was wearing the red, black, and white for the Sabres way back when.
Oh, is that it? Okay, yeah. Like I was just gonna ask, like, what did you think of Ryan Miller's career? He's one of the best American goalies to ever play the game. Hall of Fame status. Like, what do you
I'm
think?
happy that he gets that recognition as one of maybe the best American goalies because unfortunately, you know, his career was highlighted by Buffalo, but he did a lot of great things individually and statistically for himself. And he grew the game, and a lot of goalies mention him when they say, you know, who's your favorite.
Yeah, I don't think he'll make the Hall of Fame, Joe.
I don't either.
I don't think he deserves. I mean, I don't think he'll make it. He might deserve it. He might think he deserves it, but no.
He doesn't have a cup, which I think hurts him, and he doesn't have any goalie records, I don't believe. So, you know, he does. But what a solid career! And it was nice that Anaheim actually showed up to one of their games and won his last one.
Well, you know what? I was listening to a couple. Sorry, Josh. I was listening to something on the radio, and I'm pretty sure I forget, and maybe most of us forget, that he actually almost willed that team to the gold medal game against Sidney Crosby, and that was his team way back in that Olympics, and that he had a strong showing.
Yeah, that might help him.
National hockey aside.
No, but I just think when you vote and stuff, I just think the takeaway from that Olympics is Crosby scored the golden goal. So I think like his performance might get like shadowed by that.
Mm-hmm.
So
where was
I
Josh
think,
going with this? Sorry,
I don't know.
We're just talking about Ryan Miller.
You know what? I think he made like $60 million, 6D. He played good.
Oh.
Good job, Ryan Miller. Congratulations on your.
Josh, you said he was doing something in Anaheim still.
Oh no, yeah, I was just saying, like, it's nice that Anaheim showed up for one of their games and won it for him 6-2, right? Like, that's a nice one for him to win. Last game of his career. No, good for him.
How about Ryan Miller?
Yeah, and, you know, if he makes the Hall, if he doesn't, he's still going to be a legend in the game. Speaking of goalies, the Sens, we forgot to bring this up. I just think it's so funny. It'll just be a quick one. The Sens almost had to put Artem Anisimov in net because their backup goalie went down in warm-up and they couldn't get an e-bug in time. So he was a scratch for the game. But they were able to get him dressed in goalie equipment in case that the current goaltender went down. So we almost had Artem Anisimov playing goaltender for the Sens, which would have been just hilarious. So just thought we'd touch on that. Let's get to some Leafs talk, then we'll do some yes, no, why. So I think the most have we talked about Nick Foligno as a Leaf? Want to start with that?
Yes.
I have no idea.
Yes, we have.
Okay, well then let's start with the one that's on everybody's mind. Wayne Simmonds and Alex Edler. There's all. Okay, well it is now. So it's what did we think of that whole situation? Because obviously Edler takes a run at Hyman, knee on knee. Then the next game, Simmonds grabs him and just feeds it to him in Edler's first NHL fight. Was that the correct way to handle it? Because I saw a lot of people, and most of them were Vancouver Canucks fans, filling their diapers that was the wrong thing to do. So where do you stand on that, Brandon?
Okay. It was discussed pretty widespread, I guess, on the Saturday night panel with Kevin Bieksa and Chris Stewart. The tough guys, they wanted to let them have a say on what they thought was right and wrong. And I guess they kind of had a sway on my opinion. They said that, you know, there shouldn't be any further discipline needed on any team now. And I think that it was a bad injury, a bad hit. There was a little bit of experience with Wayne Simmonds in particular, I believe, because when Eric Stahl got knee-on-kneed by Alex Edler way back in that Olympic championship, Wayne Simmonds was on that team and his teammate. And so there might have been a little bit of recognition between that incident and the Hyman incident. It's a bad situation because that it's Edler's first fight and he's been in the league so long, but blah, blah, blah. It's the same league. You're on the same ice. I think the fact that he couldn't even like take his gloves off properly is just a testament to how poor of a like defender you have to be to not even know how to fight, and you've been in the league for that long. You just have to take your gloves off and protect your face. You could be okay. Like, it's kind of sad to think that a professional veteran hockey player looks that pathetic. And it was just kind of it looked. And
I don't understand what's happening.
But that's the reason everyone is riled up, is because he got manhandled and it looked like he didn't know what he was doing. And it was like, oh, that's so unfair. It's like a fighter versus a toddler. Well, that's your fault. Learn how to fight. Drop the gloves and practice with a Bo Horvat or something. You've seen the Senators do it. And for him not to be prepared for that shit is just upsetting, because you knee-on-knee one of the hardest worker guys. And to think that the fighter on the team wasn't going to come after you like the first shift, I think people just forgot what hockey is supposed to be like.
So just to recap, Brandon is mad that Edler got beat up. You're mad at Edler for getting beat up.
Yes. He honestly, fuck the Canucks. He needed that. He needs another one too.
Oh.
He needs another beating. Fucking Canucks.
Anything else? I think Brandon gave his 2 cents.
No. Mess with the Leafs, man, you get the Simmonds.
Yeah, I saw like the most ridiculous take on Twitter. It was like, oh, you know, if it was Quinn Hughes that threw that hit, would Wayne Simmonds beat the crap out of Quinn Hughes?
I hope he would.
I mean, well, maybe not, but you know, probably not. There's a difference. Edler has 1,000 games in the league. He knows when it's coming.
He should know when it's coming.
I don't think it would be Simmonds that would go after like Quinn Hughes. You'd probably get, you know, someone else doing it. But
can we talk about Quinn Hughes for a second? Is it just me, or did he look awful in those games? Like he was falling, he was doing like weird slap passes to no one. Like
Josh, he's trying to be relevant.
Did you see what I saw? Like from
he's
like
trying,
an actual.
He's trying to do too much, but
yeah,
Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Simmonds Edler situation, because I feel like you have an opinion no one else has thought of.
You know what? Like, I don't live in like this Twitter fan thing, so I didn't know this was a big deal until I listened to some other podcasts. But yeah, Josh, the fact that Vancouver fans were upset, like, can you tell me more, like, what they were saying? Like, because from my perspective, he did a hit. Now, let me just say what I think. Edler did a hit that was bad. He knew it right away. He got suspended. Simmonds stared at him at warm-up, so he was like, okay, I'm going to get my ass kicked, whatever. They fought the first shift, and then it was done. No one talked about it, but, like, have the fans just been talking about, like, I thought it was fine. Okay, I don't think anything was wrong. I don't understand what's happening.
What you just said is general procedure for a bad hit when you take out one of your stars.
Yeah.
That's what they were mad about. That's what they were mad about. They were mad that Simmonds went after Edler. They were mad at Simmonds for grabbing Edler for a fight. Like, buddy, get over yourselves. You're Vancouver. You've been a joke since 2011, and that was the most exciting thing. So, you know, change your diaper and move on. Like, fuck.
Okay, I'm glad you're on the same page.
Other Canadian fan bases piss me off so much, man. Like, they know nothing about hockey.
Wait, like, are these like sports writers?
What about Dallin's fan account?
Thomas Drance from Vancouver was the one like leading the charge.
Is he a writer, or who's that?
He works for The Athletic.
Oh, so he's like
he's a Vancouver beat writer. This guy's a professional.
And he wanted people to hurt Simmonds, or what was his plan?
Someone in the media put up a poll about who the Canucks should jump on Saturday night, and they listed Simmonds, Marner.
Nylander? Oh
no, it was
who fights on the Canucks?
Nobody, but they were like, it was like, who should the Canucks jump? And it was like Simmonds, Marner, Robertson, who wasn't even playing, and Jack Campbell. Like,
yo, I love the Leaf players, but if it was any player I'd want to see get jumped, it was probably Nylander, because he's so calm and he's so cool and he's so collected. And I've never seen him throw a hit. I've never seen him done anything. I would love to know his reaction, because I feel like
snap.
Yeah, I think he would snap too, because he would either turtle or he would snap and just start
No, I
throwing
want to see
them.
Mikheyev fight. That guy's got some built-up anger issues.
Yeah, or everybody on the ice would jump whoever jumped Nylander. So I think it would be so much fun because Matthews throws crotch checks. I could see Matthews dropping the gloves and just throwing them. I think Marner, he played in the GTHL. He was a
Matthews
tiny guy. Marner
probably
threw some fists growing up as a kid, like playing in the OHL in London and stuff. Like if you're a star player, that people just come after you. That's kind of what they do in Ontario. It's kind of weird. So I think Marner probably knows how to throw.
Kachuk and some other guy from Arizona protect him in London, though.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not. I'm just saying in general, if you play hockey in Ontario, you're probably more likely to know how to fight than if you grew up in like Sweden.
Could you imagine, man, what Mikheyev's got built up in that body? That guy is just surprising me every day with his speed, and I think his punches would be just as fast.
Yeah. So the Leafs play the Habs tonight, and we won't talk about that. I'm excited for this series. They played them 3 times in a row. This is a playoff.
And we'll be playing them in the first round of playoffs.
Well, Calgary's pretty close, so that's not jump.
No, I don't think they're close. I looked at it this morning. I think
they're 4 points behind. 4 points behind.
But isn't there only like 5 games left?
I don't know. But but the Habs play the Leafs 3 times, so that's 3 losses for them.
Josh, they're 8 points behind.
Calgary's 8
what
points
are you looking at?
Yeah, and there's only 6 games left.
Calgary's 8 points behind Montreal.
Oh yeah, you can't see it because of the glare. Just look on your phones. Yeah, they're 8. Dude, there is no race. You just made a race that doesn't exist.
Oh, I checked like 2 days ago. There was a race.
Yeah, but there's not a race anymore.
You just made a race that doesn't exist.
How many games has Calgary played in the last couple of days?
Josh, they both have 6 games left, but they're 8 points behind.
Well, Josh is reading 2018 articles.
Yeah, I'm probably reading like my NHL. Okay, yeah, all right. So yeah, Leafs. Leafs. Oh, but the Habs are close to the Jets. That's probably that won't happen. But anyway, so this is like a playoff preview. So what I'm looking for is how can the Leafs shut down the next Wayne Gretzky and Cole Caulfield, who had
flick him off his shoulder.
Dude, this guy. Okay, I'm watching him at warm-ups, and I thought somebody had let their kid take warm-up.
Josh, he could probably beat you up.
I don't care. Matt, I don't play in NHL. If he wants to come and fight me, go ahead. But
no, but you're calling him small, and you guys are probably the same height and same weight. Josh, I'll read his height and weight. Josh, what are you right now? What are you, like 5'6", 140?
5'7".
5'7", what your weight, probably guess?
135 to 140, yeah.
Caulfield's 5'7", 162.
Okay, so,
But you just called him small.
He's the same height as me.
But he has 30 pounds on you.
He's smaller than NHL.
I'm not training to be an NHL player. There's a difference there. All I'm saying is, with like a month of work, I could be the same size as Cole Caulfield.
You said he looked like a bitch on the ice.
No, I never said that.
He does look like a bitch on the ice.
He does, yeah. You know, if you put words in my mouth, but it looked like somebody brought their kid out from warm up. He's like doing his little skate with his helmet off. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then Habs fans are treating him like he's the next Wayne Gretzky. So it'll be fun to see him play. And I'm also excited to hear what excuse Josh Anderson makes up as to why they didn't win the game.
Wait, what are you referencing? I don't know. Is that like what's happening?
Every time Josh Anderson loses to the Leafs, he makes an excuse as to why they lost. It could be the refs.
Speaking of Josh Anderson, he said that Connor McDavid doesn't have a superstar in his line, like Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, and then someone zoomed in and then mentioned that Leon Draisaitl is on that same line and team.
Oh, I heard what he said. What Josh Anderson said, he said, what's the difference between playing Matthews and McDavid? And he said the difference is Marner plays with Matthews. I don't know what that means. I think it's shade, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. But I've seen like Leon Draisaitl and McDavid play together.
No, but like I actually don't know what that like. Is he just trying to say, oh, Marner's on his line too, and Marner has the puck and just sets him up for one tease, so we have to guard Marner more? Like I don't understand. Like I don't know. I
don't really get that either. That's why he's stupid. Fuck Josh Anderson.
He's not the smartest cookie in the jar.
Josh, you want to play yes, no, why?
Yeah, I gotta go do something.
Junior C and always cheap shot at our teammates, man. Anderson family, take a lap.
Okay. Welcome to Yes, No, Why. You guys know the rules. I got 4 questions here. So first one, you have to answer yes, no, and explain why. Hockey would benefit from a docu.
No, dude, it's yes, no, or you answer why, and you say why is this question. Isn't that how it works?
No, it's yes, no.
How did we not come through this?
No.
No, but that's not how me and Brandon answer. We're gonna say yes, no, or we say why.
That's how you play in your head. So you're playing.
I play with yes, no, and why. Yeah.
Okay, so hockey would benefit from a docu-series like Hard Knocks or the F1 series. So the Leafs are doing one through Amazon.
Holy shoot, there's a fox across the street. Sorry, keep going. No, for real. I'll get a picture. Keep going.
So
We're good.
the Leafs are doing a docuseries with Amazon. Would other teams benefit from this? Yes, no, why?
We already talked about this kind of, but yeah, I think it would be let the fans inside the building and see what happens. So I'll go yes.
Brandon?
Yeah, I think you're right. You mentioned the F1 thing earlier and what it does for like the whole aspect of every sport. If you put a little bit of something in the that's so scary, bro. Wow. If you put a little bit of excitement like that in NHL, like I think that I kind of lost track of the question, but I think you're right.
Okay, thank you. I also agree. I think it would be good for the fans. And
Sorry.
yeah, Brandon was distracted by a fox. So
It's
this
a
one's,
residential neighborhood. What is it doing on the street?
we can talk about a fox for the next 5 minutes if you want.
Josh,
Adam Fox.
Josh,
Someone,
ask the
so someone said
question.
Adam Fox might win a
Norris.
Trophy in the next 5 years.
He will. He's a stud.
Who is
Okay.
Adam Fox?
He's on your street right now, bro.
No, that's Cheryl.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
well,
Josh,
next
ask
one.
the questions.
Considering how the world is looking right now, the Blue Jays will start next season in
Oh
Dunedin.
my god. I don't even know what that means.
Will they be
Yes.
playing in Canada? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You think they will, Matt?
I have no idea. I don't know what the Blue Jays. I didn't even know they played. But no. I think like I said, I told you
You
before.
didn't know the Blue Jays played in Toronto?
Can I finish?
No, you didn't know
my
they
thought?
played in Dunedin.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So
Yes,
I
he's
think
essentially saying that you're also asking if like the Raptors would be in Florida, essentially.
Pretty much it.
Holy shit, bro! This thing's in the middle of the street. Sorry.
Josh, you want to ask another question?
No.
Yeah. One more question. No.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. No. I think that coronavirus may be the league. It's unfortunate, I guess, because those are the only home teams to Toronto. I want them back here.
Yeah, I think they'll be here. It's by they would start their season in April. So
Well, you were
hopefully
talking about it earlier. Hopefully, with the
about-
vaccine rollout in Ontario and Canada, we'll get some of these teams back, maybe, right?
for sure. All right, last one.
And
Twitter-
and those sorry, and those teams those teams I think in them states are like the Raptors and the Blue Jays are probably vaccinated, if not getting that done right now in the states, way ahead of us. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, last one. Twitter is actually a good tool to have a sports discussion online, even though it can be a cesspool of a joke.
Yes, I think if people are mature and actually are like semi-professional, I think you can get some good sports takes and thoughts out of
I
Twitter.
agree. I hate when people misspell things and like a little bit too much slang and like a lot of grammar issues. If you can have a nice conversation and yeah, be a little bit heated. Twitter's had some crazy. I think if you talk in like GIFs and pictures, it gets a little bit more funnier too.
For sure, yeah, I agree with that. Like Twitter can be fun, but there's also a bunch of people on there who just need
Twitter
to
can also be the worst place on earth.
uninstall the app. So that's a wrap for this week. Our website is live, so if you want to go check that out, you can go and take a look. All it really has is just links to our little bit about us, links to our pages.
We'll start writing soon.
We'll start writing some stuff, put some stuff on there. You'll follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a nice day. Oh, let's stop.